I miss flying. There, I said I love being up in the air. I love traveling around. I love seeing new things and all this exciting stuff. And, as we're doing this, I asked my long-suffering wife, Marie. Hello, Marie.
Hi, honey.
Do you miss flying as well?
I really do. There's like a cadence to it that I kind of miss. It's like you know what to expect, even from getting out of the taxi, going into the airport, going through security, getting on the plane, stowing your bags.
Yes.
We are really good at it.
And we love it so much, we thought what we're going to do on Voca Vacay this time, we're going to have a not one, not two, but a 3-part series, and we're calling this basically the Frequent Flyers series.
Oh, I love it.
It's about people who are up in the air and they're doing their thing, and it's one of those things we've talked about before. It's like flight attendants, for example.
Right.
And you have actually talked about, something that,
Well, I know that when, we start talking about missing flying, I just have to whisper the sweet nothings in your ear.
It actually helps me.
Of what a flight attendant actually says. No, actually, I printed it out, and I kind of want to know, do you really think I could be a flight attendant? Because I'm going to actually read some of what they say.
This is going to make me so happy. It'll be like once again, I'm cruising 30,000 feet. Okay, what do you got?
Okay, are you ready?
Hit me.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned on the fasten seatbelt sign. If you haven't already done so, please stow your carry-on luggage underneath the seat in front of you or in an overhead bin. Please take your seat and fasten your seatbelt. And also, make sure your seat back and folding tray tables are in their full upright position.
Wow, that was so amazing. I actually just took my shoes off as a reflex.
I'm like, when's the drink cart coming by? I'm ready to get settled in.
So,
take me to my destination.
Did Marie do a good job or not? We have a real life flight attendant. We're going to talk on the other side of this intro from Voca Vacay. That's Marie over there.
That's Frank.
Voca Vacay starts right now.
Prepare yourself for the bestest, amazingest, and overall super duperest travel program in the history of ever. Vacation like it's your job and live vicariously through yourself. It's time now for Voca Vacay.
Oh, gotta love us some Voca Vacay action right now. And Marie, we have a special guest. And let's say this right now. This is our first special guest ever in the history of the international global empire of media that is Voca Vacay goodness.
I am so excited because this is a long-term, this is a friend that I've known for a long time. We went to college together and he went into being he was like, I'm going to do a flight attendant. He's actually a comic as well and way funnier than us. And I was really excited because I was like, oh, that's who we should get first. When we start doing interviews, we should get Steve.
So Steve is here. Steve, good afternoon to you, my friend. How are you doing?
What's up, y'all?
Steve, first question first, we really appreciate you for coming on Voca Vacay, but I've got to ask, if you heard Marie give her little, introductory spiel on how to be a flight attendant, how'd she do? Be honest, be brutally honest.
I mean, it sounds like, you have potential. You're not nearly as grizzled and angry enough in your undertones. I really want to feel the eye roll next time when you have to make those announcements for the 30th time that day. But you have potential.
Wow, I really do feel for you having to say that 30 times a day. I get it. I totally get it. But so we're, you're really long, we've known each other a long time. And you're here under a code name, and we're not going to reveal the airline.
No.
So
Super
Steve,
secret.
thanks for joining us.
Yeah, so Steve, the first thing is, let's say Maria or anyone else out there in Voca Vacay land wants to be a flight attendant. How do you do it? How did you do it?
Well, it's kind of a long process no matter which airline you're going to apply to. I actually applied to 2 other airlines prior to the one that I'm working at. And it all kind of goes through, usually they open up the process and you submit your application along with a million other people. And then it's kind of just like the waiting game. Different airlines do different things. I know some people were doing video interviews where they did a recording thing, and then there's phone interviews. There's background checks, in-person stuff. It's I had to do a drug test at one point, all before even getting to training, which that can be a whole other thing. But some people it took me a year with the airline that I work for, from the time that I applied to actually I hit a year mark when I was in training.
Wow.
So it was just over a year from submitting application to actually like I'm on payroll and have benefits.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
Wow, that takes a while.
working
That's
a flight.
amazing. So,
Yeah.
well, here's the deal. As you're doing these things, so they train you, you've gone through this, you get the job, and what do you do on a daily basis?
So day to day, I mean, it can vary a lot. A lot of it, people, I think, feel like the job is a lot more glamorous and than it really is.
Tell me about that.
Because a lot of people, they're like, oh, you travel and you get to go all over the place and you stay in these amazing locations, and you're just like, I'm in Midland, Texas, like on a Wednesday. There's not a lot happening sometimes. And I mean, yeah, sometimes you get like amazing like downtown New York City layovers, but I mean, the way our scheduling kind of goes, it's all seniority based. So these folks that have been there for like 20, 30, 40 years, I mean, they're getting all the good stuff. So the lower down on the totem pole you are, the kind of less desirable trips you get.
Midland,
but on
Texas.
A day-to-day, yeah.
They're like, I'm going to a fancy hotel. You're like, I'll be over here in the cornfield.
Yeah,
I'm visiting a cornfield today.
Watching the oil pumps go up and down.
So wait, how long have you been doing this now? How many years?
2 years now.
Okay, perfect.
Which is, I feel good and seasoned. But to go back, when you like on a day to day, I mean, the thing I think people don't realize a lot of is that once you clock in for your trip, the way that flight attendants throughout the industry get like really compensated is at their like hourly rate per se, is only from the time the door of the airplane is closed.
Oh,
really?
Interesting.
So, right. That's really the only time where you're really making your money.
So everything, everything you do when people are coming on is in prep for that. And so you're working, but you're not like working yet. I'm working, but I'm not really getting compensated at my hourly rate. Got it. Man, you deserve to be compensated. I know there's some crazy people that come on the planes and they're like, where am I seated? Help me put my luggage up.
Yeah. And I think for most flight attendants, I think that, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I know for me, it's like a lot of the issues and a lot of like the real stress is trying to get people on and off that airplane, because odds are people don't really realize this. Once I clock in, it's like you are on a very kind of tight time schedule of, you have to be here to start boarding, to take off at this time, to then, just physically fly, to land, to then work another flight. And sometimes we're transferring planes or we stay on that plane all day. It kind of varies. So if you can't be late, because if you're late, you're going to mess up like 3 airplanes down the line.
Oh my gosh.
Once you clock in for your trip, and like when we say your trip, usually we're out for like 3 days on average. It's a 3-day schedule. And so you're just kind of, you're not really on your own time. You have to kind of stay on that schedule of go.
So, you're dealing with all of that. Do you at least get to set your own like schedule through the week, or like what's up with that?
So again, the job is all very seniority based. So we bid for our schedule typically like a month out.
Okay.
And then the company that I work for is really great. I mean, everything's done online.
Oh, good.
We can trade amongst ourselves via online, kind of like at a restaurant where you're like, oh, I'll work your Tuesday if you work my Wednesday. Or sometimes even you're like, hey, I don't want to work this 3-day trip at all. Does anyone else want to work it? There's all these little like intricacies that you can kind of trade to really make your schedule. Holidays are a little weird, but beyond that, I can still like make doctor's appointments or attend weddings or even just last minute stuff like I can just be like, oh, I don't want to work this weekend. I'll, figure something else out. And usually I can get it covered.
How long is it before someone, like you say when someone has seniority, what year mark, like what year is it that someone, you can say, oh, they have seniority?
I think when I hear someone say like, oh, I've been here like 10 plus years, you're like, oh, okay.
Okay.
Like,
You're like,
you've been around the block. But I'm
girl.
like, I've flown with some people that have been here 30 years and you're just like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well,
that is remarkable. That. Yeah. We were on a flight once where a guy was actually retiring. He said he'd been doing it for like 30 years or something, like many, many years. And so he was like, yeah, this is my last flight. We were like, cool, drink up.
Yeah.
Right?
Bring the bar cart.
Well, and it's honestly, I don't think it's that uncommon to see people that stay in the industry for a long time, because the job for the most part stays the same. So the job that I'm doing, that 30-year person is doing, it's the exact same thing. The only difference between us is that they've been there 28 years longer than I have. Yeah. And so with that, you just get paid more annually. There's like a step crease that I get a raise every year on like February 16th.
Oh, nice.
And I can look at my, we're unionized. So I can look in my contract and I know exactly how much I'm going to make per, hour basically of flight. And
cool.
Then I just know what. Yeah. And so that's why people stick with it, because the longer you've worked there, the easier it is to like bid what you want, get rid of what you want. And then you're making all this money. So it's like, why leave?
Well, and that's the thing is that, Steve, I mean, you're talking about doing this job, and, if you're doing it over and over, are there certain tasks that you look forward to and go, I can do this when I'm good? And there are certain things that you're going to be doing for the next, 28, 30 years is like, oh, I'm really not a fan of doing this one particular thing.
Yeah, I don't like having to pick up after people. That's a huge.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand when it became customary just to like leave trash in your area.
It bothers
and not
us
like
too.
pick up.
Yeah.
Like even like at a restaurant or even at the movie theater, it's like, why did you just leave a giant thing of popcorn and like. For like you brought it in, you can't like take it out to the giant industrial trash can.
It's like you wonder how people live. We really sympathize for you and with that, because when we leave a plane, we definitely clean up. We try and make it as easy as possible. It makes you kind of wonder about, how people live. It's like, okay, now I've hoarded up my house. Let me go on this flight and I'll just leave stuff everywhere here too. Like, like. Oh,
right. It makes you question, and you're just like, oh, you live in filth down here.
Yeah, but Steve, I mean, that's the thing is that you're there for protection and safety as job number one. You're not really there to clean up after people. I think, I don't know if everyone understands that one of your jobs is very serious. Make sure everyone is safely there. They're buckled in. They're adhering to the FAA protocols. Regulations. Yeah. And you're really, just treating you guys as if, hey, you're going to clean this up, right? It's like, that's really not cool.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I've been told like, there's like that people like, oh, I don't talk to the help, or you're the help. And you just kind of look at people and you're like, I was in training for a month, like for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, to be able to evacuate the airplane with half of the exits in 90 seconds. Ooh. That's the FAA requirement to like be certified. And so, I mean, I've put out fires. I've literally put out fire in training.
Oh my gosh.
I've been like done the life raft thing with the life vest in a pool. I mean, I've gone down the slide.
Wow.
Put an AED on somebody. I mean, the amount of like we really are there for the safety of everybody. And I guess count our blessings. Air travel has become so predictably safe that that's where they're like, okay, well, odds are the plane's not going to be on fire, so we might as well have you guys like serve drinks.
Yeah.
But And I think people forget that it's like, the reason I'm asking you to put your bag under the seat is not because like I just get, kicks off of telling you what to do. It's because you're in the aisle and that's going to block the exit for someone sitting by the window. I'm not really afraid that you're going to get hurt. It's the other people around you.
Yes.
Same with like tray tables. It's like, I don't think you're going to like get Final Destination like sliced in half with your tray table, but it makes it harder for the person at the window to try to get out if they need to.
Right. Yeah.
Now, we talked about some of the bad things. So what's the best part of your day? I mean, your favorite things to do when people, is it meeting the new people? Is it starting the flight? Is it landing the flight? Or what really sings to you on a given work day?
I really do like people. I say that with like some like trepidation and a little bit, but in the sense of like, people are very interesting. People travel for many different reasons, and it's really fun when you can be the person that like really excites somebody. I mean, now like with COVID and like 2020 being just a crazy year, it's changed that in a little bit of travel. But I would say under normal circumstances, when you get to like be the fun one, that it's like, oh, you want a vodka soda? Like, sure. And then you just, and you can strike up conversation with people. And I really do enjoy that part of my job. I've met some very, very interesting folks.
I love when I get to sit in the front and there's is it the jump seat? There's like a little seat that the flight attendant sits in that like faces everyone else.
Yeah, that little, it like folds down basically from the wall. Yeah, that's the jump seat. People think ooh, it must be cool to sit there, and you're like, oh, it's terribly uncomfortable. Because your seat's bad as a passenger. It's like, oh, it's like the tiniest piece of like padding on like a metal.
Now that you say it, I can totally see that. But I do like when I'm in that situation and the flight attendant and I are like just having a conversation during takeoff or whatever. And I'm like, this is cool. Because I'll be honest with you, I like people in general as well. But I also like, I don't know. Sometimes I don't like people. And so when I'm on a flight and there's like a new, like if we're flying separately, for example, and Frank and I are going to meet each other somewhere or whatever, and I'm on the flight and there's a stranger beside me, I'm cordial and nice and I'll say a few things, but then I kind of want you to not talk to me anymore.
Oh, wow.
I'm just like, I want to be in my peace little space, like, But the flight attendants, I don't mind talking to as much.
Yeah, no, we enjoy it. Like, if you're cool, like, yeah, sure, like, talk us up. But, I mean, don't be one of those people that's like, I'll take the prime rib. I'm like, no, you're not, because that's not a thing. And it's a joke that I've heard 50,000 times. So it's just like, or another question, like, it's always interesting. People always ask me, they'll point out the window and they'll be like, what mountain is that? And I'm like, I have no clue. Like,
hold on, let me get out my topographical map and take you on your tour.
I don't even know. I mean, honestly, it's like you fly so many flights in a day. Sometimes you're just like, I don't even know where we're going.
I don't even know where I am.
With you, I have no clue.
Well, and that's the thing is like, so when people come on, I mean, I don't want to say do you size up the passengers, but do you have like a favorite type of passenger, or do you have some that you just look at and go, oh, this might be a bit of a challenge for the next hour or two?
Oh, for sure. And you can just tell if people fly frequently or not.
Right.
And it varies. Like, you can tell if someone is a business travel, like if they're traveling for business or versus if someone's like going on vacation. And that can also help you gauge the type of interaction you're going to have with that person.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes business folks, they just want to get on, have their laptop, be left alone, do their thing. And but if you're going, and it also depends on where you're going too. So like, if you're going, say, from like basically anywhere to Vegas, like, people are they're gonna be crazy. It's like there's certain like demographics of people on certain routes, if that makes sense.
Yes.
And you just get kind of used to, I don't know, you just know, like in Miami now, that's the new thing that people are going to Miami now to get plastic surgery. So leaving Miami, you have a bunch of people in like wheelchairs that have just gotten like butt injections or do it. And so it just turns into like
Well, here's the deal. You mentioned flying into Vegas. Is there a different room tone that you sense from flying into Vegas and then you're flying the outbound leg from Vegas? Do people just behave differently when they finally lose all their money?
Yeah, that in Vegas, but you really want to know where you really see it is in when you fly to Orlando.
Oh, they're like, Disney took all my money and my kids hate me.
Really?
Well, a lot of them are, you can just like see like on the parents' faces sometimes that they are exhausted. They are pure exhausted where they're like, I took off work, I spent $10,000 and my crummy little kid just cried the entire time. You know what I mean? You can just see it in them. Which is very different because you get like you fly into Orlando where everyone's excited. You're like, go say Mickey, go tell Mickey I said hello. And then like 30 minutes later, the people get like the different group getting back on. It's just a complete 180 tone change.
All their ankles are bruised from all the strollers that hit him at Magic Kingdom.
Oh, they're sunburned. They're broke.
100%. And they all are like. They're all dragging like a $500 lightsaber they bought for like, and it's just something about just that crazy dichotomy just like warms the like narcissism part of my heart. Where I'm like,
yeah.
I know it's really fun like that. I enjoy that. Like
So, okay, let's get down then and talk a little bit about kids on flights then. That's a good segue into that because I'll ask you this. Well, number one, we want to hear from you about what it's like to deal with a lot of small children
and babies
on a plane and babies. But also, we have traveled with our animals before. We've taken 2 cats on flights, so I actually really want to know what you think about that.
Okay, hang on, Marie. I just heard Steve. I may have gotten this wrong, but it sounds like you just died a little bit inside when she said cats on the plane. Oh, what's your take on small babies,
animals,
small children, animals, whatever? How do you deal with it?
Let's start. Here's the overarching theme.
Okay.
With that, and that I've learned. I don't hate. And hate is a strong word, and I'm going to use it because I don't hate children.
Right.
And I don't hate animals.
Right.
I hate parents, and I hate pet owners because that's where the problem is. No, you see what I mean? It's like, I'm not mad that the baby's crying or throwing a fit or has like totally made a mess because I think ultimately it falls back on the parent of like you're letting your kid do this or you're letting your cat or dog like there's steps that you could to hedge a lot of this. And granted, yes, babies cry. We were all babies, we all cried. I get it. It's annoying personally, like the scream of a child makes like shivers go up my spine and makes me never want to have them ever. And so like that's but I understand where I'm like, it's a baby, it's an airplane, it has no idea what's going on, babies cry. Someone once asked me, they're like, can you make that lady go in the bathroom with her baby? I was like, because it's crying. And I was like, you go in the bathroom, you monster.
And you talk to her, she's probably gonna hit you with something.
I'm like, wow, that's rude.
She's gonna clobber him with her what are the little throw up bags? Like don't talk to me and insult my child. Like,
my thing is, it's 2021. Get some noise canceling headphones. I have them when I have to like travel.
Right.
And I use them frequently. I get down, I get situated, I pop those bad boys in, and I'm in my own world, kind of like what you said earlier.
Yeah.
The pet thing, what's become the issue, which the FAA just changed some stuff to align with, or maybe it's the DOT. There's all these different regulators that you kind of don't ever know which direction you're getting rules, but they just changed the rules that and as a flight attendant, I can say the quote unquote emotional support animal thing has kind of gotten out of control.
Oh, I've read.
They just locked it down where you can't really have an emotional support animal, which was considered a non-service animal that you could have outside of a carrier. So now that type of animal can travel, but you have to pay for it. And I believe it has to be in a carrier.
Yeah.
Which is different than a service dog, which
Right.
we accept, that can actually is trained to perform tasks. Because I've seen like these quote unquote emotional support animals just be, again, their owner lets them just kind of wander the plane. I've seen them like go to the restroom on the plane, vomit on the plane.
Oh, no.
No. And then they just kind of look at me and I'm like, oh, well, here's some paper towels. Have a field day.
Yeah, no,
Your
I understand.
emotional support cat will get you through it, but I don't.
Yes. Well,
and I know I'm making light of it. I know there's people that really do need psychiatric animals, and I think that there's a lot of people have abused that to make a lot of people that work as flight attendants kind of like really second guess you.
No, and I completely understand, because we went on some flights, we moved, and so when we were moving and then moving back, we had to ship some of our animals, like straight up ship them because they were too large. Yeah. And then we took the two cats that came with us. It was good because before we went through this whole process, it seemed like I kept getting on flights, this is before we moved, where we would see more emotional, well, quote unquote, emotional support animals or people with animals. And so I was taking note of what to do and what not to do. And there was one flight where this guy was just like, this is my emotional support dog. It's in my lap, and had a conversation with the flight attendant about, yes, it's like paperwork and everything. Like he was like, this is, I'm cleared to do this. He let it run. It got up under everybody's seats. And I was like, that is flat out not right.
That was bad.
I was like, no. And so I
had an incident with a dog that was like trying to go under the seat, and then it becomes to the person behind you, like that's, they paid for a space too and paid to be comfortable and have a decent experience too. Like I understand that you want to have that animal to make your experience better, but it shouldn't interfere with other people. And then also on the flip side, your life vest is under your seat. It's the same reason that
oh yeah,
that's why you don't put stuff under your seat. You put it under the one in front of you, because of the way it's designed. Is if you put your stuff under your seat, it would block the opening to get into your life vest. That's the whole reasoning behind that.
That makes total sense. Absolutely.
Well,
before getting into it any deeper, I do have to say, I think we did a really good job. And I do think that there have been a lot of people who have ruined the emotional support animal thing for those people who do have legit anxiety or depression or whatever they're dealing with. And they do have to travel with something like an animal, like they have to travel with an animal or do something to get through things like flights.
And there's some people need that. And some people just made a mockery of the whole system.
Yeah.
And that's what I really, it's sad that people have done that, because they see it a way to get out of a fee. But the airline that I work for, we still make accommodations for, you can travel with a service animal.
Yeah.
Be it for any physical, mental, whatever type of thing. And I will say to people that if you are going to travel with an animal, look at the airline's policies and just follow them.
Yes.
As long as you follow the policy, then there's no issue.
Yes.
Really.
100. Yes, absolutely. And people don't read enough, I think, about flying. And that's the one thing when I was like, we're really good at flying. And I think it's because we look at people and we're like, you have too many bags. You're completely overpacked. Like, we're a little critical.
Yeah, real quick. Let's talk about that. When someone comes on with too many bags, and do you just want to go back and yell at the gate agent and say, how did you let them on with this much stuff? Because now it's your problem.
Yeah. I mean, there is some of that feeling in your heart. But the thing is, that's not an airline rule. That's an FAA blanket rule of the 2-bag policy.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, it is not an airline rule. And even me, the only reason that I'm exempt from that rule if I'm in uniform going to and from work.
Okay. Yeah.
Because that usually what happens. So when I travel with 3 bags.
Okay.
I have a backpack that I have to keep. We have to travel with our flight manual at all times, which is it's loaded on an iPad and like some form like that. So I have a backpack where I travel with my camera, I keep like my Nintendo Switch in there and like my iPad and just kind of like, whatever normal stuff that I may need to grab during a flight.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a roller bag, and then I travel with like a food bag.
Yeah.
Like a big oversized lunchbox.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. Yeah. We definitely, the 2-bag thing, we actually find it a challenge. We literally look at each other and go, I can get everything in a smaller bag.
Yeah.
I can do it. How small is yours? Like, and then we have like different sizes of our bags. So if we're going like international or long haul, like I'll usually pack in a bigger bag just because I have the luxury, and we have perks or whatever, so they'll take it without the fee or whatever. But
Right.
if we're going just like, to visit someone for a weekend or like just across
One
a
bag.
couple of states, I'm like, shove it all in one bag and let's go.
We're going. But Steve, you bring a great
Right.
point, because does anything stand out in your brain when you're thinking, has anyone just said, hey, can you help me put this in the overhead compartment? And you've just done the little, Jenga Tetris logistics and said, there's no way I can make this fit.
Yeah, and I also don't stow bags for people.
Oh yeah.
Even though I am young, strong, in decent shape, and
Mhm.
can.
Mhm.
But the issue that we've run into is that, one, per our manual, we are not required to do that.
Oh.
That being said, if I can assist you, but I cannot do it for you, because the issue is, if I do it by myself and I get injured, then there becomes the issue of, will I get workers' compensation?
Yeah,
it boils down to like a legalese type.
Yeah, it's a liability issue. Sure.
And the thing with people's bags, it's like, I didn't pack that bag, and there's so many flight attendants have torn like rotator cuffs because they'll lift a bag, something will shift in it.
Oh my
boy.
gosh.
Like, there goes your shoulder. So I can help you guide it, and people look at me like I'm some monster, because I'll just say like, I can check it for you, but I'm not. I mean, if I lifted 50 bags every flight, 3 flights a day
Yeah.
for a week, like, I'm not going to have any shoulders.
Yeah.
And so, but usually by the time I'm like, there's ways around it. I'm just like, oh, just give me 1 second. And by that time, there's some like big, strong man that wants to prove something that's
I'll
going to do
help you.
it for me.
Here, I will lift that
yeah.
for you.
And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. And then you just keep it moving.
That all makes sense though, and I never even would have thought of that. Like I never would have thought of that logic. And I do see flight attendants assisting
Yes.
after someone's already gotten up there and they're like, I can give you an extra hand to shift it, like maybe push a little bit this way. But like never have I seen one pick. That is really, now that you're saying it, I'm like, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Huh.
I've never seen a flight attendant pick up a bag and put it up for someone.
It's because of injuries.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of flight attendants have leg injuries from like turbulence, and a lot of them have like arm and shoulder injuries.
Oh,
Also
wow.
from turbulence, like you catch yourself, and just from like they lift stuff
Yeah. I have
game over.
often thought you guys are really skilled at walking up and down those aisles.
Yeah, you get used to it. It's like
It's like
It's
sea
crazy,
legs.
and you-
I mean, it's like when you're on a boat, you get that certain rhythm. I mean, because I see you guys move, it's like, wow, how do you keep your balance? I would have fallen by now.
Oh yeah, you definitely get used to it. I remember the first flight that I ever worked, that it was bumpy, and we had to do drink service, and I was so shaky just because it's like, oh my gosh, I'm about to dump this tomato juice in this man's lap. Which, that's another thing. People, you need to realize, like, when we're doing drinks and handing stuff out, people just don't know how to like either pass things to somebody or like take something from somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
Mainly put down your book, put down your phone if you're going to try to grab a drink from me, because if you look all like confused,
Mhm.
I'm like, well, your phone is in your hand. Like, use.
Yes.
Well, it sort of comes back to like overall, how educated do you think people are when it comes to like flying, and specifically like what you do? Because I don't know if everybody picks up on the nuance of what you're actually there for and how you're trying to help them have a pleasant experience.
Yeah, I really don't think people are. And so that's a conversation I have to like remind myself, I'm like, that I do this every day, multiple times a day, multiple times a week. They're in, my where some people, they only fly like once or twice a year, if that.
Right.
And so I constantly like, yes, I'm having to like re-say this, but I do think there should be some responsibility as like the person, like you've got to do a little research on like what you're about to embark on, because we are still in a metal tube going 500 miles an hour, 40,000 feet in the air. So
I will tell you this, and this is a confession. I cried the first time I flew. I was so scared.
That's okay.
Because, I am like the probably typical general public that doesn't know much about how airplanes even work and like science. Like it's like
Marie, I don't
completely
know how airplanes work.
Well, it's like, but there's like everybody kept telling me, because I was like, I was nervous, and anybody I talked to about it was like, air travel is safer than car travel, and so I was like, okay, but it freaked me out. Can you tell when someone is flying for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, usually they tell you, or someone tells on them if they're like in a group, like it's her first time, and you're like, okay. And then usually you can just ask, like, I've sat in like on takeoff. There was this girl, and she was probably 14, 15, traveling by herself.
Aww.
And she was, she's like old enough to travel by herself, but also still young enough where you're like, aw.
Yeah.
And she was like visibly scared, like crying. And so I just like went and even though we're like taking off and it's, I probably, shouldn't have done it. I mean, I was sitting right there in the front and she was there in the front, and I just went and was like talking to her. And then when we weren't like, super steep, I just went up and I just sat on the floor right next to her and just, be like, it's okay, like take deep breaths, because I was really just praying that she wasn't going to pass out, because I didn't want to.
Oh, right.
A lot of our job is just trying to like be preemptive.
Yes.
To things of like, because there's really not, I mean, I might as well be like 20 miles in the woods if you're at 40,000 feet in the air, because it's, there's not a whole lot you can do.
Right. So do they?
I mean, there's a lot we can do, but
well, like, so if someone's hyperventilating, you can give them oxygen, right? Like,
yeah, we have multiple oxygen canisters on board.
Yeah.
For different things like that.
Yeah.
We have first aid kits. I mean, a ton of stuff.
Yeah. I bet that's probably the biggest thing, is like people probably get all freaked out and anxiety ridden and start to hyperventilate. Like that's probably pretty common. Like I know I felt like that the first time.
Oh yeah. People get air sick. I mean, people get air sick all the time. And it's just, it's not pretty. I mean, I feel like a lot of my days, it's like dealing with cleaning up behind people in various regards of messes they've made in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Or just anything and everything. I mean, any of the bodily fluids, I'm like,
well, Steve, that's one of the things.
You're like, I didn't go into nursing. I went into flight attendancy. So, why? Yeah.
For sure.
Because we did want to ask you, and we'll ask our listening audience, sort of bear with us on this, but I hate to say, what's the like grossest, scariest goo? I mean, have there ever been scenes you walk into, this is like a CSI crime? It's like, what happened? I didn't sign up for this at all.
The grossest thing is the floor of the lavatory.
Hello.
It's not water on the floor. I just want to let you.
Right.
So don't go in there in your bare feet.
No.
I've seen that. Mm-hmm. This is not your house. This is a public porta potty that flies.
Oh my God.
That's all it is.
Dude, can you not aim? Like, what is up with that? Like, I'm serious. Like, how does that even happen? Like,
I've seen,
Dude.
Sometimes you go, I'm not speaking from personal experience, but I know there's times that people go in that lavatory when it's a little bumpy and they've been thrown around. So
that's it. I bet.
Can only. But also, guys just have terrible aim. There's also that too. So it's like
that makes sense, though.
It could be completely still, zero gravity, and there would still be.
Okay, guys, physically, just sit down. Okay, just take some of the guesswork out of the hook shot.
Take a break. You're in there by yourself.
No. Well, here's the thing, though. As someone that has to sit down every time throughout my whole life, we did do a show once on bathroom etiquette and like bathroom, like washing your hands.
Yeah,
and
it's
like,
one of our first shows called "Let's Poop in a Hole."
Yeah, because when we and Steve, you'll find this funny. When we were traveling overseas one time, we were going somewhere where for the first time we saw a bathroom that was really just a hole in the ground.
Literally.
And so we were talking about that on this show. And so I told Frank, I said, you know what? Actually, it's more sanitary than having to sit down because, as a female and sitting down my whole life, I have to say, sometimes sometimes it would be better to not sit down.
No. Now you're talking about getting to the hover squat and
right.
improving your thigh muscles and everything.
I call it popping a squat.
Oh, stop it.
But yeah, so I'm not sure the sitting down thing is this sanitary either. But you do what you can.
I'm just trying to hit the...
rough.
Steve, do you have any memories that you look at and go, yeah, that's a funny one. I got to tell the family when I see them for Thanksgiving where I go, yeah, that was kind of cute what I saw today.
Funny. I always get a kick out of watching people put their bags in the overhead bin that have a hard time with it.
So do we.
Yeah.
And it's really fun when you make eye contact with other passengers that notice it having a hard time. And so you just you now have this kind of small collective of people that just, non-verbally are having an experience of, and
you're like, that's not going to fit there, sir. And you're all thinking it, but you're not saying it.
Yeah. And you kind of just wait. And I just kind of let them struggle because I'm like, they're going to learn. They're going to learn.
Time to go to
usually
school.
I don't know, I guess it's passive aggressive, and then they'll walk by me and I'll be like, you did it. And then just to let them know, we all saw you do that for.
Yeah, you're like Dora the Explorer and yay, you did it. So
yay,
you do the same
you
time.
did it. You did it. Now sit down. Now get it together.
Okay, have you had any particularly scary flights, like bad turbulence or something
I've had some bad turbulence to the point I was like, ooh, I need to sit down. I did sit in the aisle once. It was pretty bumpy, and I just sat on the floor, which is, that's what we're trained to do. It's if it's really bad, you sit down on the ground and you just tell people around you, you're like, I need you to hold me down.
Yeah.
Wow.
But usually you can if you can find an empty seat, we'll take a seat. But yeah, there was once some winds that were pretty bad, and we had to, they had to abort landing and go around and try again. That was, I wouldn't say scary. I don't know. I have a lot of trust in the pilots that we have.
Yeah.
Because they have gone through an insane amount of training, and not all of them, but most of them have military experience where they were flying and landing on aircraft carriers and doing a lot more scary stuff than taking a bunch of people to Disney World.
Right.
And I know, I'm they make really good money. They're probably on I don't know, have their their 3 houses, and they want to go back home to their families and their children. So they're not going to do anything crazy. So,
right.
And these are the people too, also, I really trust them. These are the same people that we all get in the van at the end of the day, go to the hotel, and then, have a couple of drinks at the bar. You get to, when you do it, this job long enough and you fly with some of the same people here and there.
Mm-hmm.
So you just kind of get to know one another and you kind of trust one another.
That's awesome.
You really are a crew.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Now speaking
which is good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but speaking from the passenger's point of view, let's say that if something's, I just noticed 2 things. Number one, if I ever see you sitting down in the aisle, I need to, my heart pressure is going a little bit because I don't want you doing that because that means it's bumpy out there.
Yeah.
So that's worst case scenario. But if on the good side, the passengers, do you ever look at passenger and how do you get perks, or are you allowed to give out perks to passengers?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's more ways with my company. I've noticed there's more ways for me to like comp a drink
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
than there is for me to take payment for one.
Oh.
So it can, I mean, for me, for us, I guess as a flight attendant, if you're nice and you strike up a conversation, I mean, even as simple as just like, how's your day been? Or if you can like sympathize or empathize with me in any shape or form,
Right.
or if you just, like, oh, it's my birthday, we're going to whatever, and if you bring me chocolate like that, I mean,
Yeah, does that work? Does that
Easy.
work if we show up with like the thing of Russell Stovers and go, hey, we just thought you might like this?
Thanks, guys.
Does that help for the duration of the flight for me?
yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
I have to say, one time I was flying. I had a previous marriage before this amazing one that I'm in now.
Oh, Steve, she totally traded up, but
I did.
I'll let her finish the story.
And but anyway, I was getting my divorce, and I had to fly somewhere. I was like doing something that had to do with that, and so I got on the flight, and I immediately ordered a drink, gave the flight attendant my credit card, and I was a bit sullen, or I was sad.
It was emotional.
It was emotional, and I cried a little bit. And she came by and she was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I am totally fine. It is not the flight. It's not anything on here. I am going through a divorce." And she was like, "Girl." And then she was
I've got you.
She gave me a couple more drinks. And I was like,
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. That made me feel so much better. She was my emotional support flight attendant.
She was your emotional support vodka. That's what it
Yes.
was.
So yeah, that's really nice. It was really nice.
No, and that I even though when people are going through like a hard time and stuff, that's where me as a person, I like being able to be that person for
Yeah.
say you.
Right.
I bring, it's fun for me when like there's a little kid and he's like, I'm 8 and I want to be a pilot, and then you can
Aw.
orchestrate with the guys up front like, hey, there's this kid, like, can you come up here and take pictures? And they're like all about that stuff. And so, I mean, we try to do, I mean, I've taken rolls of toilet paper and like you can kind of turn it into like a quote unquote birthday cake that looks like you like write it, or like any of the snacks, you can like make a crown or a sash out of it. And we do stuff like that.
So cute.
Where it's just like, I feel lucky that the company that I do work for, that is highly, highly encouraged.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And it really makes the job fun for me, and
Yeah.
it makes it fun and enjoyable for the passengers that we work for.
Yeah.
And I know that I've talked a lot about like, and I don't want to come across as like I'm super disgruntled or anything like that. But I mean, I am, but I'm not. I mean, I really, 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 really love my job. I love the people that I work with. I love the customers. It's just even if I have a bad day, it's great because odds are I'll never see that person again if it's like a person related, or if it's an incident specific. It's, totally fluke wise that it happens. But I
Yeah.
would say 99% of my days at work are just pretty easy and great
Yeah.
and chill.
It's like you're a professional and you got to do professional things, but you want to have fun at work too. And so little things that happen, you let go and move on to the funner stuff, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I constantly have to like, oh yeah, it's funny that, it's a pain when, you go to the area and like a kid has smashed up a ton of snacks in the row. But it's like, if the hardest part of my day is just like picking up this trash and like these people's water bottle,
Right.
Yeah.
then like, okay, like,
Yeah.
I'm doing all right then.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, the final question we've got for you, it's just to sort of wrap it up. Are there any, because look, we're not flight attendants, and, Marie can read the script anytime she likes. But,
Here we go.
But stop it. But here's the deal. Well, Valentine's Day is coming up. But, Steve, I got to ask you, are there anything behind the scenes things that you can tell us? I don't want to say like dirty little secrets or whatever, because this sounds like a very, very honorable profession is the way to say it.
Absolutely.
Because there's not enough respect that goes on, because you're there for the safety, the comfort,
Yeah.
and everything for flight to make sure that people get there safely on time. You do all these things. So basically, are there things that people need to know about your job that they're just not aware of?
Give me the deeds.
I think It's definitely a lifestyle.
Oh yeah.
It's not only a job, it's very much a lifestyle. I am away from home and my family and, my dogs and,
No.
Right.
my life for an extended period of time. Like I can be gone sometimes 5 days, sometimes 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm in hotels. I'm sleeping in not my own bed. And it makes us, it makes me really appreciate all of that stuff. But also I wish it's like, yeah, you may be going to see your family or going on vacation or you're traveling for Christmas, but I'm having to work on Christmas or you're traveling for Thanksgiving, but I'm the one that I'm helping you able to like, either you're going on that vacation or you're going to, even for work. But there is an aspect of my life that I'm having to leave behind.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I mean, it's not like I'm not a war hero or anything, but I just wish sometimes people would put that into, just a little bit of perspective of like, yes, I am a flight attendant, but I am a human.
Yeah.
On the other, and that's the courtesy that I try to, I extend to my passengers as well. It's like, even though, you may be having a bad day, but like, you're still a person.
Yeah.
And so
Absolutely.
I'm gonna treat you with humanity, and I just expect the same in return.
Yes. No, I have that. You thought that was the last question. That reminds me, I did want to ask this.
Sure.
Are there any pointers that you want to give people? Like, because you read things and it's like, in some of these articles, they're like, flight attendants tell you why you really shouldn't be washing your hands in the water from the bathroom or like whatever. Like, are there things that like anything that you particularly would like to share that you're like, oh yeah, I wish more people knew about that.
Get there on time. Don't pack so much.
I just, but like, there's just certain things like if you, basically, if you have for the 2 carry-on bag thing, mainly, it's like your smaller bag should be like for whatever you're going to need in your seat for the duration of the flight. The one up top, that should be like something you shouldn't really need to access. So the whole up and down thing being in someone's way. But I think people just need to be aware of themselves a little bit more. And like, because I see people walk down the aisle with backpacks all the time, and people are so worried about themselves. They're smacking everybody.
I hate that.
So I think if people I understand that people are nervous and that manifests in different ways, but if people just like take a deep breath and like really plan and like be organized. So many of these like, travel woes, you won't need 25 travel hacks to, make it to your destination on time. You're going to be fine. You just need to like take a deep breath.
Yes.
Plan it out. Just, show up and just kind of do what is asked of you. Like I do this every day. I don't like to tell people to put their seatbelt on all the time, but it really is for your safety. Again, we're going 500 miles an hour, 40,000 feet in the air.
It's kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I've seen people bounce around, like we're doing this and we have to do it quickly again, because we are on a very strict time schedule and we don't have time to like explain, well, the reason we're asking you to do this is because X, Y, and Z.
Right.
So it's just like, just put your bag under the seat.
Come on, guys, let's get off the ground.
Right. We're trying to get to Vegas too.
We're trying to leave Orlando as well.
Right. We're done.
Yeah. All right. Well, I can't tell you how much we appreciate this. I've known you a while, and I was really excited for you when you went into this profession, because I know your personality and how amazing you are and outgoing, and just you really are a people person. Like, and I just remember hanging out with you and just being like, that's good people. So I was really excited for you, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Yeah, thanks so much, Steve. Appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, Steve, we're going to let you go because we're going to wrap up this episode of Voca Vacay, part of our 3-part series on frequent flyers.
Yeah.
So, Steve, we hope to see you in the air sometime soon. We really do.
Yay, me too.
Thanks, Steve. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. That was Steve, an actual flight attendant. who is he actually does flight attendant stuff.
Yeah,
That's kind of cool.
It's really a good person to know, honestly.
And he's a great person to know, especially on Voca Vacay, because I think for our first guest,
Oh my
on the
gosh.
front, I think he was exceptional.
That went really well. Because, on the technical side, I was like, are we going to be able to hear him?
Yeah, how does
What's
this
going
work?
on?
What
Yeah.
buttons are we hitting? Anyway, that being said, we're going to wrap this up. And hey, as always, thanks for checking out Voca Vacay. We appreciate you hanging out with us for a little bit today.
Yeah, find us on all the socials.
We're on Instagrams. We're on the Voca
Faces.
Facebooks. We're on the tweeters and the what's the other one?
The Instagrams.
The instant. I always forget all these
the
things.
tweeters. Oh,
Hey.
the tubes, the
The
YouTubes.
YouTubes. We are omnivorous. So remember to vacation like it's your job.
And live vicariously through yourself.
That's darn right. It's going to be great. And remember, we'll see you in a fortnight. That's Marie over there.
That's Frank.
And hey, love ya, miss ya, mean it. Bye.
Don't forget to click subscribe. As always, #Voca Vacay at Voca Vacay and visit VocaVacay.com.